Welcome, everyone.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a killer day.
We are in the She Sells Weed podcast room. This is the She Sells Weed podcast.
Welcome, everybody.
We are your hosts. My name is Mindy Galloway.
I'm Jax Eubanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your support, and we love you guys. So tell your friends. We hope to bring some really cool, amazing content, some good conversations, but, really just get to know people and talk. And we want to build community. We want to see what you guys are doing out there. We want to see what our industry is doing. We want to see what these amazing people bringing their talents, their gifts into the space. We want to know about it. We want to hear about it. So we will talk about it.
Yeah. Like, how to keep your crutches from falling out of the back of your joints, which I'm seeming to have a problem with today. Sorry. You're doing so well. So perfect. And I'm like over here just dropping crutches out.
Yeah, this is a real, it's a real problem that come up, right?
Real issue in our community.
No Scooby snacks,
crutches, right? No. Yes, I am so excited, Mindy, to be here with you. I think the podcast studio has come together so well. It looks so great. I love all the little details and touches that we've put into it, and I'm really excited to share our experiences with everybody and really just give everybody a good deep dive look into what the world is of women in the cannabis space.
Yeah, I am so happy to tell the story, my story about how I kind of worked my way up in this space and how everything that you do, if you put the passion, if you have the passion, so you have to have the passion, you put the passion into it, you can innovate, you can do all sorts of amazing things. And seeing that throughout the years and seeing how things have evolved in our industry have been, really exciting to see as well. And I'm excited to see how we can push the needle forward too, how things will evolve as the years go on and we're, maybe allowed to do more things, right? We're in the Delta Boys dispensary right now, on-site consumption. We're being able to smoke here, and it's a business, and it's
and they've been kind enough to give us the space to do this because we want to highlight the evolution of cannabis, and it's really the big topic has been the lounges. I think that's been everybody's been like, "What's up? What are we doing?" And luckily, Delta Boys has got one. So
well, it's a place to build community. It's a place to gather. It's a place to meet each other. And I think that's where power is, right? Power is in people. When you have conversations, when you have two people who are aligned in the same thing, what can happen from those conversations and create, right? Like this is a product of one of those brainstorming. Okay, this is an idea that turned into a reality from us taking the steps and doing the work for it.
I agree. And, everybody always is like, a lot of people who aren't in the cannabis space, they always like, why do people always need lounges, And I was thinking about it the other day, and I don't know if you felt like this when you were younger smoking weed, but it always felt weird to smoke weed by yourself. Like, you always were like, just kind of odd. I mean, nowadays, like, whatever, it's what we do. But when we were younger, it was really all about getting together with friends, and just smoking weed together.
I agree. I think I was talking to somebody about that the other day.
Yeah, like that's what smoking always has been.
Over smoking by ourselves. Yeah. We want to smoke with our friends. We want to smoke with our people. Because
that's really what was so fun about it back in the day. It's like, oh my God, I can just being young smoking weed, I remember the first time my friends and I we bought an eighth and we smoked the whole thing in a day, and it was like we were like, wow, we smoked the whole eighth today.
Went for it. Yes, I love that. Go all in.
Yeah, like we were really like real proud of ourselves for that. It was so funny. Now it's like I roll up an eighth in a joint and put out half of it and move on with my day. But back then, we
I remember everybody used to scrape together little dollars, and then we would get a 10 sack, and there was like we had a little pinner blood or pinner joint, and everybody would be like 9 just getting one hit.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, to where we're smoking, I mean, gourmet cannabis at this point.
Yes.
I mean, this is such a luxury right here.
Yeah,
So. This is a sangria that we're smoking on right now.
Do not take it for granted. I feel that it's funny because I was thinking about this morning. I was like, to have just top shelf weed on me all the time because I have a dispensary, because I work in the industry. That's such a blessing that I'm like really, really grateful for, because that was not like that for
no
growing up. How my life has been.
No. Oh God. No, it was back when we were young. When you found weed that was like really, truly top shelf. It was like such a rarity. It was like you could never get it again, you could never find that guy again, or he was sold out. It was always a trick, or it was like just god awful expensive, and most of us didn't have the money to be shelling out $60 an eighth like back then, be like $60.
I got my 35. Like, we were good. And then it was around Christmas, and 420 is when the best weed would come out. When you get those strains, you'd be like, yes.
I remember going to Hippie Hill back in the day before it was all commercialized. It's just people getting together. Once again, just people getting together. That's what it's about. I one year took this like just sticky purple Urkel like half ounce with me to Hippie Hill, and I was just like so proud to like have it, and people were like, "Oh my God," just amazed by it. And nowadays it's everywhere, but it's like it's so great to watch like the evolution of it, and to be on that tail ride of like now just being able to just constantly consume that all the time.
You didn't have a choice.
No.
You got whatever was there. Like when you called your person up and like, come through.
Yeah, and I feel like you always had like your budget guy, and like then like the guy that you always knew like had the fire. You're like only gonna call that guy if you got some money, but you can call it this other person that always had it. No, I used to have this 100 ounce this guy that I could get $100 ounces from. And
oh, nice.
Oh my God, that was like the best, because it was like we could just smoke, and that's actually how I really got into selling this beautiful plant. Was that guy, he asked me one day if I knew how to trim, and I was like, no. He's like, well, this guy, he's like paying $200 a pound to trim, like I'm sure you could like pick it up. And because I was like looking for money at the time, and we went up to Marysville, and he introduced me to a guy up there, and we started trimming, and the dude was just like weed was valued so much different then. So like having a little backyard grow, like you were pulling in a nice amount of money, and he would pay us and give us weed. And I just got to the point where I just had too much of it, and it was like, what am I going to do with it? And people were like, well, you could sell that for X amount of dollars. And I was like, oh, cool. So I was really that really tapped me into like, I was like, oh, like you can like really make money from this, like especially because I was just used to making a 9-to-5 paycheck. I didn't realize like there was another way.
And I didn't want to, pay for weed. So I was just like, okay, we'll go out there.
Okay. You'll buy a bulk and break it down.
But I do remember the first time I went to go trim. So my friend had a job. It was at this drive-through coffee place, and this guy would come through olive barrels just full of bud all the time. And so he had harvested. We went up there. And we were up there, and we were in the drying room, and I can just see all the plants, and they were hung up, and we're sleeping, and like it was like an old, rickety shack or whatever, but it was an air mattress, and I looked up and I seen all the plants. I thought I made it. I was like, I am here.
I know exactly. I remember going into that guy's dry room. It was just. It was out of control. Oh my God.
I love that.
And then when I had my own grows, like later, and I'd bring people up, friends and family members. I've always had, you don't bring anybody you don't know to your farm. So I always had friends and family, and they'd come up, and, I had been in the thick of it for months at that point, growing, and I did sun-grown cannabis. So it was a very hard laborious job, and so by the time the plants were like hanging up in the racks, I was just so exhausted and like could only look at like I have more work to do to like finish this. And people would come, I'm like, this is amazing, this is beautiful, like how do you not just stand here all day and admire it? And I'm like, I have so much to do. Like, I'm glad you
Bye-bye.
love it because
Yes.
I gotta go. Actually, can you come with me? Because we gotta get this trimming now. Like,
Shout out to the trimmers,
Yeah.
to the growers, to the trimmers. Also,
Yeah.
and you know, that does show every single person in the supply chain is so important.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
passageway, every person that a nug touches throughout the growing phase to even going to the store and
Yeah.
getting sold, that energy gets put in there. And I truly believe that. And that could be, you know, up to interpretation by whatever perspective people have, but I truly, truly believe that. Like, you could feel it.
Yeah, I mean, they've proven that when talking to plants negatively versus positively, I mean, they respond to it. So there is some sort of energy law occurring there. I'm not smart enough to really discuss, you know, the laws of the physical world, but I do not disagree with you on that at all. But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of roles in cannabis that need to be filled, and every time they try to like bring in some sort of machine, like a trimming machine, you know, and they're like, everybody's just gonna use this. Hand trimmers won't even be necessary. It's like, it just never works. Like, I think there's a unique human connection with cannabis. I think that it's a part of us. It's a part of the human story as a lot, and like all of evolution.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we have the same chemicals inside of
Yeah.
our bodies that cannabis have, the
correct.
the cannabinoid system. So we're truly
It's-
connected by biology
Yeah,
to the plant. That's why it works so well on us.
I think so, and why people are willing to give up everything for it. Like, you know, those people that came before us that really lived in a truly legal market. You know, both of us kind of lived in I think a gray area of cannabis, but those people that really risked everything, like their freedom to carry it around, like, I'm sorry, but there has to be something more than just money for that, especially when a lot of these people who did get locked up were like helping people. Like, they weren't profiting. Like, there's like a gentleman right now that everybody's talking about. I can't remember his name, but he was helping cancer patients and is in federal prison for it, you know, because he was distributing cannabis. And it's just like, there has to be something deep with cannabis in us that we risk it all for it.
Yeah. Well, we don't believe the lies either.
No.
Right. So
They are
living your life by what you believe collectively to be the right thing. It's not always so black and white where it's on paper like that. So
yeah,
you
it's
can't
crazy
put
how
a
many
price
lies have been
on
told about cannabis. Like,
Yeah.
like blatant lies, you know. I think that's also something that's really special about cannabis that it's taught me is that don't believe everything that's so loud that's telling you it's something. And I say that because it's like, how loud was the government about cannabis and how oppositely wrong are they? I mean, day and night wrong, you know, it's crazy. So, but yeah, so cannabis, my journey in it is that this is a little bit of an introduction video for everybody, just so you guys, you know, get to know us privately before we start bringing on some amazing guests that we're going to have on the show. It for me it's a way to end suffering in our world as human beings. And the idea that I can help people that way, it fulfills me in a way that like nothing ever has. The other thing I enjoy is food. I enjoy cooking for people. That's like my love language for people. It's like, if I cook for you, like you're on like a high marker for me, because I love cooking and sharing that with people. But weed is the thing that I get to share with everybody. And being somebody who started in cultivation, who kind of, you know, went into a couple different roles here and there in cannabis, just to kind of experience it. Now being able to work in retail and be a retail manager and get to work with people on the daily, that has been the most special thing, because it's like all of the work that I gathered and all the knowledge I gathered over those previous years to the point of me getting here has like I get to now share that with everybody every day, and it benefits them, and I see them get happier and live better lives, and I get to share that with other people in the community, especially some of these young ladies that we meet like recently at Hall of Flowers. You know, I don't know if you've interacted with some of the younger generation of ladies, but there's some ladies out there that are really wanting to be a part of it, and it's nice for me to get to talk to them and be like, nah, you guys can do it. Like, you know, no,
that
like
mentorship, that education,
Yeah.
and that passing the knowledge down.
Yeah, and helping them like navigate the right brands and like just knowing where to like what is the real thing, and they're wanting to hear it too. So that's a part of like the show is like we want to reach those younger generation too, those people that are trying to get into the space, like what is really weed, you know, so that we can help benefit the consumer and all of us at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah. So when that care and that attention is put onto what you're doing, it follows that around. And so every different, like I've never, the one thing that I haven't done in the industry is grow. I've never been much of a grower, but, you know, I do manufacturing. I have a shared manufacturing, you know, but really I like to help other people on their journey as well. We have the retail, you know, that supports that. So everything kind of works in a community, in a space.
Yeah. Cultivation special. I love it. I won't get teary-eyed here talking about it, but I could. I love it so much that it's the thing I will go back to. I just believe that my journey is like, you don't get to just climb just your favorite part of the mountain. Like you have to climb all of the mountain. And for me, cannabis has a lot of different elements to it that I want to have said, like, I've walked that path. I know what that is, so that when I do get the opportunity to have what I want to have in the future, like my dream for my big career, like where you are as far as like owning, you know, multiple businesses in cannabis. Like for me, I have a passion in cultivation and hash. So like I want to create a space of like where I get to produce those things from me. And knowing what I know in retail now, I would have never known as a cultivator if I would have stayed in cultivation.
100%.
Like,
well, because you're the direct line to the customer.
Yeah.
So all of the feedback, all of the everything gets passed down, and that is valuable data.
Very
right? So
valuable.
in this
Very
technological
valuable.
world,
being a bud tender is an underappreciated role in this industry, and it is one of the most valuable roles in the industry. If you were trying to get in the industry, that is a role for you, for sure. And
they are the gateway to the customer.
Yep.
So if you're a brand out there, the bud tender,
feedback it should be highly listened to, especially if it's a reoccurring pattern that you're hearing from them. Like, you should listen. I do. You know, I rely on my team a lot.
Yeah, I've had to pivot a lot. You know, building a brand is really hard.
Yeah.
I've been building with, you know, Camille, putting that out there for a few years, and I've had to pivot multiple times through that. But it's because you have to take a step back, look at where you're at, and see what you can do better. And sometimes you do have to pivot. Yeah. But you don't give up at the same time.
That's right. Yeah. Like today, we've had a little technical issue, and we're not giving up. We're going to run downstairs and put the camera in the refrigerator and truck on. You know? Yeah, you got to pivot, you know? Yeah. Cannabis has made me a better person because of all the lessons I've had to learn to stay a part of it. You know, I've had to evolve as a person. I couldn't stay the old me. Like I used to be, you know, a farmer. So when I got into the retail space, like I had to refine myself a bit. I was a little rough around the edges.
Well, I haven't really had conversations or talked to people. I've just been watering these plants for months.
Yeah, that's all I've done.
Step back in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and having just trimmers here, just like do work. It's up to you to be good. Because I mean, I pay you by the pound. So I mean, if you aren't good at your job, then nothing I can do for you. Maybe you can come back next weekend. But otherwise, I got to get somebody else in here. I'm sorry. Like, it's real cut and dry. But So I got questions for you, Mindy, because once upon a time we did a practice one, and you asked me if I had questions for you, and I do. So you said that you worked for like the state for a while, and then you worked for a delivery, you said before, and then you did then that's how you got to a therapeutic alternative, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the turning point for you where you decided that you were gonna like commit to participating in the incubating like program? Was it offered to you? Were you like, I want this? Do you feel like you kind of fell into it, or do you feel like it was a lot? Can you like talk about that?
Well, I think I've always been like an entrepreneur, had that mindset.
Okay.
I always knew that I wanted to run my own business, and I got really inspired by seeing all the things that were going on around me, because in the Prop 215 days, everything was really small businesses. So it was very doable. It was very manageable to be able to just work within the community and, you know, sell to each other and have all your paperwork. So I went and met different people through the advocacy world. And so that's where I met, like, Kimberly was through that delivery service, was starting a PACA political action committee so that the delivery licensing can be passed in Sacramento. This is way, years when they were just creating the policy. So I met Kimberly in the advocacy world, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I don't think a lot of people realize when it comes to this is being created as we go.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really interesting and eye-opening experience to be part of seeing change happen right in front of your eyes, and having to also pay attention to it, to navigate it, to help educate different policy writers, policy makers on, hey, this is not really a feasible thing for my business, because they're just creating it, and we have to give that feedback.
I see.
So that's a whole another world that, it's really inspiring for me to see. But I met Kimberly, and she was looking for specific things. She was looking for a delivery service, and we had seen each other. Actually, there was an organization called A Woman Grow, and that was happening at the same time. So I'd like meet all the ladies.
Was that the networking?
It was
thing?
a networking platform.
Yeah.
It was around Sacramento for a couple years. I think they're still out there.
They are,
but I don't. There's no chapter or anything.
Yeah, I used to go to the Oakland one a lot. Where that lady Jasmine, who was the original founder.
Yeah,
I went with her, like when she would. I still actually talk to her on Instagram, which is so funny. Yeah, she lives a completely different life now, But she, I used to go to those ones, and I think I got a little disconnected from it because it changed. I think you guys probably experienced that.
It did. Yeah. But I did go when it first started.
It was fun.
She had come to Sacramento too, and she had led a few different ones. And I met a lot of people that are actually like my business partners and my people through those channels.
Yeah.
And just finding it. And I think that one thing that I value in my life is just authenticity and freedom to be myself and to be who I am. And so that's why this world is so, attractive to me, and being able to make my own choices. And so I wanted to find the people that I connected with. And it was always this community, these people. And I was very, very, very lucky because, these women are not only my mentors, like they are my friends. And like, I can genuinely say that. And like, we have like real love for each other. And that is, such a blessing to be able to say. So, I met them, and, I was working on delivery, and I had a business plan. Right. And I started just learning it. A whole bunch of books, and I was like, oh, how do you write a business plan? So I went and did it. And I remember I was like, okay, she's looking for a delivery, like maybe I can provide some insight. And so I just put a business plan together. I was was like, here.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. And so we became friends and business partners after that. And she, taught me so many different things through the incubator at a therapeutic alternative that she ran, which really helped me now navigate the pocket and all my retail behind the scenes, boring paperwork, accounting, all the different things you have to know. But all of these things make something run, and all of these things are very important. And I think that's one thing mainly as CEO that I've learned is it's all about your team. It's all about your people. It's who you have that has that personality mindset, right? Like if somebody's a really good people person, like don't put them in the back, like, you find out where people are and be able to place them different ways. So, I'm very cool. Yeah. My team is everything when it comes to that. So I was lucky enough to be part of a great team, get that mentorship and, just learn from that.
Yeah. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. Is there anything that you would like to share with our audience about you?
I mean, I like to do art. I'm an artist also. I have
some of these beautiful paintings here are actually made by Miss Mindy.
Sure. I just like, to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to connect with everybody through this podcast specifically. It's something that, I've dreamed of. I didn't know how it was going to all happen and come together.
We were going to randomly meet at a smoking sesh.
Right? Jax is going to approach me like, you want to do this podcast? Like, fuck yeah. Like, I've seen it happen.
The world came
doing it.
I don't know. God, the universe, whatever you want to say. Like, it was a very strong voice that said, ask Mindy to do a podcast. And I said, okay. No, that's great. Okay, well, I think that there's so much more we could talk about when it comes to our stories, but I feel like you guys are going to have to listen into further episodes, so learn a little bit more about us. But I appreciate you doing this with me. I think this is going to be a fantastic journey. I look forward to all the episodes that we have coming up and guests that we're going to get to interview and get to know them a little bit better. I'm so excited to get to pick people's brains a little bit, that normally in our social settings it's not really appropriate to be like, hey, I'm gonna ask you some of these really deep questions about you and your business. But I think that I'm really excited to get those stories out there and also learn from all these wonderful women that we have coming on to the show. So if there's nothing more you got to say, I think that is our first episode of She Sells Weed. We appreciate all of you for joining us on this journey. We look forward to sharing all of this, and we appreciate every one of you for viewing this and actually listening to the very end. So thank you
for tuning in.
We will we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.